Car Crash Studio is a sandbox game where you make vehicle-related scenarios, primarily car crashes, and despite the game still being in alpha, it is already fun to play. It is simple to use, easy to use because of the controls, well, mostly, and the visual and sound effects are good as well. This game allows you to create many car crash scenarios, from precise, realistic looking scenarios to simply cars crashing and exploding at 400 speed. The game gives you lots of things to work with, from the ragdolls to the vehicles, to how you want to set them, the maps, anything you could think of. And you might think, is it hard to use? No, because this game has an easy to navigate menu. In my experience, games like this usually have harder menus to navigate through. However, Car Crash Studio is an exception as the menu is really easy to work with. Thirdly, the effects are amazing. The destruction physics are amazing for an alpha game with a few bugs here and there. From the car crash destruction to the dash cam layout, it looks pretty good. But what's the point of all that if you don't know how to use it? Many sandbox games that I've played on Roblox often have no tutorials, which means I had to rely on YouTube videos. I know tutorials should be the bare minimum, especially for this kind of game. Thankfully though, this game does have a few tutorials, and more tutorials will be added. And now, we will move on to the bads. Because this game is still in alpha, obviously it will have bugs and issues, but I'm not going to cover every possible bug. Instead, I'm going to cover a core gameplay flaw, which is coordinating the vehicles. This is the most infuriating thing in this game. There are two ways you can move the cars. The first is path nodes. The game says it's more reliable than the second method, which is using triggers. However, in my experience, it's harder to use because the process doesn't involve the car traveling along a path between the nodes to determine where it should turn. Instead, the vehicle does its best to go towards the nodes. This short clip is so you understand what I meant. I know it can be managed with speed or brake triggers by using them to slow the vehicles down, but the precision it takes just to make a simple turn with nodes over just using triggers is so much. If there's an obstacle, good luck trying to get the vehicle to turn without constantly adjusting the nodes so that the vehicle turns sharply, or adjusting your triggers constantly. Even without all the issues of path nodes, it's easier to just tell a vehicle to turn a certain way at X degrees and adjust that based on a simulation. The second method is using triggers. Triggers are these blocks, triggering a certain action like turning, speed, brake, horn. You get the idea. The reason why this is more reliable is that you can control it better, from where the vehicle brakes, where it turns, and how hard the turn is, which is better than continuously adjusting nodes. However, it is still kind of annoying to use because firstly, the game doesn't tell you where your car will go, judging from speed and where, at what time, and how sharp turn trigger is set. So enjoy meticulously adjusting numbers on the triggers just for the two cars to pass each other. And for some reason, even if you never change your setup, the scenario goes in a slightly different way every time you play out your scenario. So sometimes your trigger placement is correct, other times it does its stuff a little too much or a little too low. I feel like the sounds could be turned up a decent amount. It might just be a feeling, but I had to crank my headphones volume to clearly hear the sounds. With that, let's go over to the suggestions that I have for the game. The first thing that they should implement is a path prediction system where the game takes in the speed of vehicles, the triggers, nodes, and all the numbers relevant to the calculation, and makes paths of each vehicle, and shows where each of the vehicles would be at, depending on the time that you can slide to adjust. Secondly, the randomness of how your scenarios play out should be changeable, like a slider. The randomness could be set to 100%, which is the default randomness for the scenarios in the current state of the game, which shows all the possible paths the vehicle could follow, or to 0% randomness, where you can choose one path out of the multiple paths generated by the randomness. One more thing, I checked both the game's description and developers, and for now there's no official Discord server for the game. The game in alpha tends to have bugs, and having a server for the game where you can communicate and have bug reports from the players of the game is important. That's all I have to say. This game is already fun, and it could be way more fun if the game fixed the bugs and added mechanics that would make the game easier, which would make more players want to play this game. Even in its current state, it is one of the easiest to learn games on Roblox that isn't brain rot, so I highly recommend this game. This game gets a solid 8 out of 10. I hope you enjoy my video. Thanks for watching.